distracted here. I'm putting the volume down a little bit here. Alright, I am streaming. Not streaming, I'm recording. I'm going to put this up on YouTube. Been promising my guild mates have been curious, one or two have been curious about this NecroMancer class and the spell lineup I use and macros and whatnot, so I'm putting it up there. Hello to the Stone Brotherhood there. I'm going to keep this short. This is new. I play this in Linux now. I got rid of Windows all the way. You can see this is my desktop here. So this is Pop OS, and it works great. So if you have any Linux questions, I can try to answer them, but I do not claim to be an authority that be super knowledgeable or anything like that, but I know a few things here and there. So first off, spell lineup. I'm just in the corner here in Eastern Wastes in the TOV expansion, and what I typically use here in my group setup spells is Brilling Shadow, Danvid's Decay, the Grip Line, and then this is a 30-second really big fire dot, and this is the magic-based dot. Okay, these two here are 30-second dots. This is about a minute, I think, or so, and there's a debuff that goes along with it. Let's see, what is it? Yeah, the base is a minute, and it goes a little bit over because of armor bonuses and whatnot. This debuffs as well as does damage. It's not for this level. This isn't real awesome damage. It's okay damage. With my AAs, it pumps it up pretty good. But overall, you want this to have some extra damage, but it's mainly for the dot to help the pet tank a little bit. This right here is a really long dot, and it's got good damage. Really nice dot to have on. And this right here is nice. It's another long dot. It's actually the longest dot, and it's up over 8k, which to a necro is a lot of damage. Is pretty good damage. These are the big damage ones here. This right here, it's like 15k, 15.5k. Every tick for 30 seconds. It's extended a little bit. It's an extra tick. So it's 36 seconds really, but anyway, and then this one here, it's about 10k, a little 10.5k, 30 seconds, again extended to 36 seconds. These two dots here I recast over on a mob. This right here is a nice, it's called the Mind Erosion. This is basically sort of the new school version of twitching. And at this level, I'm level 115, this restores 1205 mana, a tick, to every member in your party, including me and everybody else. Oddly enough, I think the pet too, actually, even though it doesn't use mana. I don't know if the icon goes on. I think it does. So this is kind of the secret sauce that helps me. I've kind of newly discovered this spell, and it's very helpful. I like it, and it makes me feel like I'm being helpful to the group instead of just being a selfish little necro dude. This is the swarm spell. This is the buff for the that I put on my pet. I have this. I cast it at the beginning of every fight, even though it lasts for over 6 minutes. It doesn't really cost over like 1,000 mana. It's not that much, and it's modified. It's not that much, and it really here. Let me show. Right here is the proc that go off, and it's a nice 6,500 damage, and then it returns 400% of that damage as health, as like a life tap. It really helps with aggro as well as a bit with damage mitigation. That's essential. Um, this is the blood nuke that gives that chaotic buff. This is very helpful. The nuke is somewhat uninspiring as far as the actual damage it does itself, but when you have 5 dots running on a mob and you get this and this goes off, it's like a mega awesome nuke when you consider how much it's buffing every dot that's on the mob. And plus, I have a AA that is a synergy AA right here that gives us to a Defiler's energy synergy. It does that for everybody, every group member within a 100-foot radius. And you can just read it here. It increases the damage dealt by their critical, direct damage, and damage over time spells by 30%. And this stacks with the possible chaotic buff that you get from here. Has a 25% chance temporary damage increase to your damage over time spells. So it gives a temporary damage increase to your, and that, I think that the proc doesn't really say it in here. It says it has a 25% chance of bestowing. I think it's a 20% boost to dot damage for the chaotic power buff. I don't know. Somebody that knows. I haven't looked at it recently. I just know that the chaotic power buff as well as this Defiler's synergy buff, they stack, and that is awesome. It really helps out. So I hit this nuke quite a lot, unless I'm kind of being lazy or something. I'll hit it 2 or 3 times, sometimes, at least once or twice a fight. This is the cascading death shield, the rune I put on my pet. It cascades. Once one rune goes off, it heals, and then another rune goes on. I think it goes off like 3 times, 3 or 4 times. So it's one cast, and you get basically 3 or 4 runes that replace themselves on the pet. And every time the rune goes down, it heals it. It doesn't end up staying on that long, especially against these mobs in this X pack, but it's good. And then these right here are just some buffs that I have so that I don't have to change spell sets to buff myself or my pet. Because I got Mortifier's Unity here I use. Then I do the haste pet on the buff, or on the pet. Haste buff on the pet. And then I got these 2 shield buffs that I put on myself to help keep me alive. Anyway, I'm going to kill something here real quick, and then I'll go over these macros here I have set up. Almost everything on here is a macro. This is not, and this is not. I don't like to click. Here we go. So I use my directionals to move around. Let me get this guy. I just snared him. As well as put Frenzy Undead, the Frenzy DPS, pet DPS, as part of my macro. Send the pet in. Got Fortify. I'm just going to do my thing. And I like to switch him around to keep my red guy alive. Swarm pets. Then I have my macro for my 5 dots. It's casting. I hope you hear all this. I haven't recorded in Linux in this game before. This is my first try at really doing it. I've checked it out outside of game. And I send more swarms in. And then I do my first blood nuke. And then I hit Mind Erosion to help with... and here's the buff here for the Mind Erosion. I hit another blood nuke. Then I hit a macro that does Swarm Pet again. And then it'll cast this. And it'll follow up with this. This is way overkill. This mob is like super dead. But that's the overall rotation. And boom, I'm ignoring guild chat right now. Sorry, people. I'm just doing a quick video here. Recording. And there we go. See, this is still going off. I spent a huge amount of mana, and I'm just down to 86, and it's going up. See, by the time this buff goes away, I'm at 87. I've spent 13% mana. This was 7,600 mana, 6,600, 4,700. This is almost 16k mana. This is pricey. It's powerful but pricey. And then this is like 9,200 mana. The mana cost for this is pretty insignificant. You get what you spend on it back after this goes off for 2 ticks. Then the rest is gravy. And if you get a Gift of Mana proc, and this essentially gets casted for free, then you're doing well. So anyway, so that was one. Let me go ahead and okay. Now the macros. I have macros for days. These macros here are for my spell sets. My buff spells. The command is /mem, and then whatever name of whatever you've saved it for the spell sets here. And you can just have a button to click, and it'll just do your spells, redo them over. That's what each one of these do. This is my group spells. Combat Taps, which is a spell line I've kind of experimented with for like extra survivability. And then this is just kind of a standard, a lot of dots in this one. And I kind of forego the extra buff spells to add extra dots. This has, I normally have about 5 or 6 dots on. This one, the spell line adds 3 dots to replace these buff slots down here. So I have a total of, I think, 6 dots in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then yeah, 6. And it's going to have 3 dots down here, so 9. A total of 9 dots for this one here when I want to go crazy with the dots. Pardon me. My finger hit the mic. Sorry. So that's what these macros do. This is these are just, I don't know, just kind of snare macro. This right here. I don't have these up here, so I have to, there's a snare macro. Where's it at? Encroaching Darkness. There we go. The ID is 826. That's the first thing I have go off here. And then the second thing is Frenzy Dead. 7. So if I don't move when I hit this, then this is an instant cast because it's maxed, and then this will go off, and it's fine. If I move at all when I'm pulling, or if I'm moving as I pull, taking advantage of the instant cast for the snare, then this will get interrupted because this is fast, but it's got like a half a second cast on it. So, it's no big deal. You just hit it again, and then you'll frenzy your pet. So that's that macro. This macro, the pet attack, right here, cast 8, is this right here. So every time I send my pet into attack, I cast that. My main combat pet will go in. Q swarm is to make sure the swarm pets go in, so they don't go to waste, and I'm not wasting mana, and they're just not, combat's not going on, they're just not hanging out by my feet. they're going in also. And then this right here is the Fortify Companion buff, because I'll forget to use both these if I don't have these in macros. So for my Necro, I got both these on these first two macros here to make sure they go off whenever they're up. Debuff is the debuff AA. What's it called? These funky names drive me crazy. Scent, I think. Yep, scent. There we go. They've combined a lot of stuff into these. Anyway, it's yeah, it slows. If it's undead, it'll slow a moderate amount, and then it adds a bunch of debuffs again to like strength and AC and stuff like that. It makes them easier to hit and stuff. So that's that first line. Then there has to be a little bit of a pause because this AA has a little bit of a cast time. They have the refresh time, but they never put the cast time on here. I wish they would add that information, because you don't know if it's instant or if there's a long cast or if it's whatever it is. You have to kind of try them out through trial and error. It tells you how much. Oh, I guess with a okay, fine. I guess you have to read. You have to read for the cast time. Ooh, okay, fine. I'm an idiot. Fine. Okay, so there is a cast time, so I put a little pause in, and to make sure that this right here, this use item is my chest item for this right here, and this does a little extra damage. It's nothing spectacular at this level. It's like, and it doesn't add damage to the dots. It's just a one-time nuke damage for like 50k, I think, for each offensive spell. This right here is my Epic 2.0 that has the clicky effect that it'll go off. It's that big red skeleton you saw, and that it's really just for show. It's like, hey, it's kind of cool. It looks cool. It looks really cool. It doesn't help much at all. It's just more for show because it looks fancy. And what is this one? I kind of forget something to say. I think this right here might be I think it's the one that gets rid of it debuffs the mobs, so like it dispels the magic or buffs that they might have on them. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So yeah, this right here is that I forget what it's called. Hope I'm not being too loud. And if it's not loud enough, you people can make comments in the things to let me know how the voice is. It's like it's got some scary eradicate magic. I think that's what it is. Yeah, there you go. See, 547, 547. So yeah, it's got a 95% chance to remove up to 4 effects that's on the NPC. So I like that, and I use it. This right here I called Swarm Spam because it's a spam button because there's no pauses in, and every spell that's on here has a timer on there. So if I repeatedly hit the number 4 on my keyboard, the first time I hit it, it's going to cast number 7, which is the swarm. And because that has a timer, a refresh timer on the spell slot, the next time I hit it, it's going to skip that and it's going to go to 9. And it's going to do the blood nuke. And then if I hit it one more time, it's going to do the 6th slot, which for this spell lineup is going to be a dot. In the group lineup, it is the Twitch mana restore, the restore mana buff thing that hits everybody in the groups. And then I on this one right here, because it's a spam button, I added in a merc assist in case I have like a DPS merc out or something like that. So I have them always on call assist, and and so whenever I start hitting this, then they know to do their thing. So they're a little bit more almost like a controllable pet. If you have them on auto for the DPS pets, they're gonna get killed, and at worst they might get the whole group killed or you killed. Don't ever do that. Always have call assist on for all of your DPS mercs, tank mercs, any mercs you use that is not a healer. This is the number 5. Okay, this is just a straight up macro. Okay, yeah. This does the swarm pets, and then it does the 2 dots that are here. So this is swarm and then 2 dots, and then this right here is it's just all dots. It's just the first 5 dots I have on whatever spell set. The first 5 gems on my spell sets are always dots. That's why it's just named dots. And these right here, this doesn't make sense. It's weird. I don't know why they have it like this. I don't know why it works. All I know is it works in EverQuest. You have to start, if you want to have 5 lines that work with spells, you have to start them with pauses. And then this pause will be in between each line. But it's not going to start pausing when you actually hit this. It starts like a normal macro, and it'll start right there with casting 1 as soon as you hit it. Even though there's a pause, I don't know why, it's a weird thing. Anyway, so this is the format for doing 5 spells. Now when you mix spells and commands, it's a little funky, and you have to do it trial and error. I would recommend either want to start or end if you have commands in there instead of a spell gem. Like if you wanted, like on this one, if you have a Merc Assist in, if you only want to do 4 lines on here and then end it with Merc Assist, I think that works. But if you start it, you have to start it with the pause thing, like with this gem here. But if you end it, because it goes down line by line by line, it'll do Merc Assist, and you don't have to have the pause. You can just put just straight up Merc Assist here on this last line, and it should work fine. Although it's not going to do the Merc Assist until it gets to the very end of this macro, though. Just something you want to keep in mind too. This right here is a real funky one. What I have going on here with this one is I have all of these. I have a rune. The cast in here is the rune. Okay, these are instant casts. Swarm pets, AA swarm pets. 900 is Rise Bones. 320 is Swarm of Decay. It's the little skeletal archers you see some necros have with the skeleton, little baby skeletons shooting arrows. And then there's a pause, because there has to be a pause because of this cast here of 2 seconds. 20 is 2 seconds. 15 is 1.5 seconds. That's how that's split up. And then this last one here is the Wake the Dead. I have in that. So whenever, if I run around trying to pull something out here, somewhere, and it's really far away, and I happen to have my healer merc trailing me, when the combat starts, they start walking kind of fast, but they just start walking. They stop running. So they need to catch up. And if I've got the pull coming and I know the healer is a little out of range, or there's a situation where there's going to be a delay of him healing this pet when there's a mob coming in, then I'll definitely, as soon as I send my pet into attack, I might give the debuff first, but I hit this really fast to give him a rune so that he can survive without dying before he starts getting regular heals from my healer merc, Clem here. So there's that. This right here is just repositioning. This moves your pet a bit forward there. Do it anytime you want. Boom. Right? You do that to get him on the opposite side of the mob you're fighting, so that, assuming your combat pet's going to have aggro, the back of the mob is going to be facing you, and all the swarm pets you shoot at the mob that goes into attack is going to be attacking from behind. and they miss a lot less. They hit for more consistently, and it just is a simple way to increase your swarm pet DPS a little bit. I've just started. Sometimes it's not always a good idea to use it. That's why I give it its own button, because depending where you're at, if you're in a dungeon or somewhere, if the environment, you don't have a lot of room, you're not going to really be able to use that very well. And the everybody knows the clip playing in this game ever since the beginning has been really wonky. You got walls that are transparent, all kinds of weird, not transparent, but mobs aggroing through walls like they're not there, stuff like that. It's always been a problem in this game. Um, so you're not going to want to use this all the time, but out in the open, I like to be outside most of the time. So when I do that and I'm in the open, it can use this. It's no problem. This is the root, AA root, that's got the punt knockback to it that lasts forever. How long is it? It's only a 30-second cooldown on it for max rank for Necros, and it's pretty fast cast. And yeah, 3 minutes, and then I think it's extended, so it's actually longer than 3 minutes. It's plenty long. People complain on the message boards about it not being long enough, but it's long. It's fine. FD, I have 2 FDs. This is the Death's Effigy is the first one, and then this is Death Piece is the second one. So whenever DE is down, it's going to automatically just go right straight to Death Piece. Death Piece only has like a 5-second recast on it. So even though it's the lesser of the feigned deaths, it's it's fine. And a really neat trick is if you say you use Death Effigy and it's on cooldown, and you feel like you have to FD again, you FD, and then it's Death Piece, but the aggro isn't dropped instantly. If you stay down, if the situation calls for you, if you're really kind of in a jam and you stay down, if you're down because of Death Piece, prone in a feigned death position, and you still have aggro on your extended target list on the mobs, if Death Effigy becomes active, you can hit that while you're prone from Death Piece, and then it'll instantly wipe the aggro. It'll still work. That was a nice little trick somebody showed me when I was grouping in the No Memorial Mountain. I was like, wow, that's cool. So yeah, it's kind of a neat way to, if the aggro is taking a long time to clear, if DE comes back up during that time, you can just hit it even if you're already prone, and it'll wipe the aggro. This right here is it's a sit, invisibility to undead, and I also, on these invisibility macros, I always put hide corpse all, because I hate extra bodies laying around with all kinds of junk on them, and it kind of helps stuff run a little bit easier, smoother. This is the AA for ITU. It does that, and that's not the group ITU. For Necros, we have a self-only ITU that's instacast, and that's the one I have on this button. And I have the group one somewhere around here in case somebody else needs it. I usually do anyway. It's around here somewhere. Maybe not. I may have taken it off. Whatever. Anyway. And then if I'm not using the mount, this is also the sit button. That's why if you've ever grouped with me, I'm not in the mount, you'll see me sit to med or something, or I'll sit, boom. I'm always doing every time I sit, well, if it's not on cooldown, right? Because it's like a 5-second cooldown for this insta cast thing, so that's what I'm doing. That's the macro I'm hitting when you see me. Okay, so I've got ITU up again in case something. And this is my oh crap button. And what this does is this does the regular FDs I have on this one, but it also adds in the pet feign to hopefully save the pet so I don't have to make a new one and beg for pet toys for the new pet. If there's one thing I don't like about Necros is that we don't have any kind of source of pet gear or anything. That's sort of the mage's jam. And because of that, you don't like your pets dying and they have a feigned death. What you can really do is once you do this, I'll do it once. Okay, and that goes, okay, everything's done. If the pet, and this, usually the mobs will stop attacking everything to make sure your pet, in case, because I think the pet's FD is only 75% effective. If they get past the first wave of checks so but at least the mobs stop attacking them, and you know your aggro is completely cleared. Maybe your healer's got aggro and he's dead, and so it's just you and your pet. So you can, when the time's right, you get back up. That's why I have the sit. You got there like that, and you can get to a safe area, and you can summon your companion, which will cost. It takes a little mana, but it will cause everybody to forget about your pet and all that stuff. It's 100% effective. Basically, it wipes the pet aggro. And so there's that there. And all you got to do is tell your pet to get up, you lazy bum, and he's all good to go. All aggro wiped. Nobody dies except for your merc. You chill until he comes back, and you get back to business. So, anyway, so there we go. These are the macros. Oh, not everything. DPS macro is Twin Cast, Spire, and Hand of Death. I got this. I don't use it all that often, so I have it off the numbers, and I do click on this one. Mana buffs. Oh yeah, this is Death Bloom and Blood Magic, or these two here. If I'm actively using the mana recourse spell like in my group slot here, I very rarely have to use Death Bloom or Blood Magic. Even if we're going chain pulling, it takes a long time for me to have to even use either one of these. When you use Death Bloom, when you're also the puller, which a lot of times Necros are, your Merc is going to heal you while you're pulling, and he's going to get heal aggro, and it might mess up the pull. So if I'm pulling, I try to avoid using these depending on the situation if I can. I have to be pretty desperate for mana to use these. So those are those, and that's everything, pretty much. This is my Guise of the Deceiver. This is the buff. It does, I'll show you the illusions. This right here gives you some mana, a mana buff, mana regen buff. For my level, it gives like 20 something, I think, something like that, maybe 30 mana. It's a nice item you can get in the marketplace. That is one of the few things that has a buff that's useful. More useful than the AC buff ones, I think, for people that use. And then this Guise of the Deceiver is from doing the lottery thing, and Lukeland. And if you have all the stuff, you can get this. It's because I'm a frog, I'm not really a dark elf. This is Illusion Dark Elf. This is me here. This is why my name is Jumple. But because I like this buff a lot, because it says 10 to 10. It's mana. The mana regen on it is what's really useful. Because it has a small damage shield in it, it gets overwritten by ranger buffs, and any buff that has a damage shield, this will get overwritten. So I always have to click it off, and I got to hit my Guise of the Deceiver again to get this, to make sure that's still going. I'm a mana regen whore. I like my mana regen. I keep it as high as I can. It's 862 on the mount. Just regular, just sitting around without any extraneous stuff going on. So, and these are all the standard buffs everybody knows. So this is my Necro. This is what I do. This is how I play them. Maybe it's not pro. It's just what I've kind of figured out and what I like to do. And that's it. I'm going to end this recording. I'm going to log off while I'm doing it. And come back on my mage to have fun with. And cool. Alright, I'll see you in game soon.